Close your eyes and just listen for a moment, because tonight is not just another night of sleep. Tonight is a quiet turning point, a gentle release, a soft return to the version of you that feels lighter, clearer, and finally at peace. There is energy you've been carrying. Maybe you can't see it, maybe you can't even fully explain it, but you can feel it in the heaviness behind your eyes, in the tension resting quietly in your shoulders, in the way your thoughts keep looping, even when all you want is rest. And the truth is, you were never meant to hold on to all of this, not this long, not this tightly. So for now, you don't have to fix anything. You don't have to figure anything out. You don't have to push anything away, because this moment right here is not about effort. It's about allowing your body to soften, allowing your breath to slow, allowing your mind to gently loosen its grip. Take a slow breath in, deeper than you have all day, and as you exhale, feel something begin to melt, just a little, like the first crack in a layer that's been holding too much for too long. And with every breath that follows, that soft release continues, slowly, naturally, without force. You might notice thoughts drifting in. That's okay. You don't need to chase them, and you don't need to stop them. Just let them pass, like clouds moving across a quiet night sky. Because tonight, we're not feeding the noise. We're letting it fade. We're letting it dissolve into something softer, something quieter. Imagine now a gentle wave of calm beginning to move through you, starting at the very top of your head, like a soft glow, warm, comforting, safe. And as it slowly begins to travel downward, it touches every part of you that has been holding tension, every space that feels tight, every place that has been silently asking for rest. As it moves across your forehead, feel your thoughts begin to slow, like a busy room gradually emptying, quieter, calmer, more still. Your jaw unclenches, your tongue rests gently, your neck softens, releasing all the weight it has been carrying. And as this wave continues down through your shoulders, you might notice just how much you've been holding there. All the pressure, all the unspoken stress, all the moments you pushed through, even when you were tired. But now you don't have to carry any of it. Not here, not tonight. Let it drop, let it melt, let it gently slide away from you, as if gravity itself is helping you release it, effortlessly, naturally. Feel this calm energy moving into your arms, your hands, all the way down to your fingertips, loosening, softening, unwinding every small thread of tension, until your body begins to feel heavier, calmer, more at ease with every passing second. And now, this gentle wave continues into your chest. And this is where so much has been held. Emotions you didn't have time to process, feelings you pushed aside, moments that stayed with you longer than they should have. But right now, you don't have to hold them anymore. With every slow breath out, imagine a soft mist leaving your body, carrying with it anything that feels heavy, anything that feels negative, anything that no longer belongs to you. And as it leaves, you don't pull it back in. You simply let it go, completely. There is nothing you need to hold on to right now, nothing you need to protect, because in this moment, you are safe, you are supported, and you are allowed to release everything that has been weighing you down. Feel your stomach soften, your lower back release, your hips sink deeper into the surface beneath you, supported, held, completely at ease, as if the ground itself is gently carrying you. And now that calm, soothing energy moves down through your legs, slowly, steadily, relaxing your thighs, your knees, your calves, all the way down into your feet, until your entire body feels heavy, grounded, and deeply relaxed. You are no longer holding yourself up. You are being held. And as your body continues to soften, your mind begins to follow, drifting further and further away from the noise of the day, moving gently into a quiet, open space where everything feels lighter, clearer, and calm. This is where the release begins to deepen, not through effort, but through stillness, because negative energy, stress, and emotional weight, they don't survive in stillness like this. They begin to dissolve, naturally, quietly, like shadows fading in the presence of soft light, and you might not even notice exactly when it happens. You might not feel a sudden shift, but something within you is already letting go, already unwinding, already returning to a state that feels natural, peaceful, and free. So just stay here, breathing slowly, gently, allowing each breath to take you deeper, each exhale softening you more, each passing moment carrying you further into rest. There is nothing else you need to do, nowhere else you need to go, because this moment, this calm, this quiet release is exactly where you're meant to be. And as you continue to drift deeper and deeper into this soft, peaceful space, your body remembers how to rest, your mind remembers how to quiet, and your energy begins to clear gently, naturally, completely. As you move closer and closer to deep, healing sleep, as your breath begins to slow and your body gently settles into stillness, you may not notice it at first, but something within you is already beginning to change, a quiet shift, so subtle, yet so real, as if the weight you've been carrying all day is finally starting to loosen its grip. Just a little. There's no need to rush this moment, no need to do anything perfectly, because right now, your only job is to be here, to listen, and to allow your body to do what it already knows how to do, to soften, to release, to rest. Take a slow breath in, deeper than the ones you've taken all day. And as you gently exhale, feel your shoulders drop, even if it's just slightly, even if it's barely noticeable, because that small shift is the beginning of something bigger, something deeper, something your body has been waiting for. And as you continue breathing slowly, naturally, without forcing anything, you may begin to notice how your body is holding tension in places you didn't even realize before. Your jaw, maybe it's slightly tight, your forehead, perhaps still holding on to the thoughts of the day, your neck, carrying the quiet weight of everything you've pushed through. Just notice it, without judgment, without trying to fix it, because the moment you notice is the moment it begins to release. And now, as you take another slow breath in, imagine that breath gently flowing into those areas of tension, like a soft wave, reaching exactly where it's needed. And as you exhale, feel that tension begin to melt, not all at once, but slowly, gradually, like ice softening under warm sunlight. You don't have to force anything to let go. Your body knows how. It's been waiting for this moment of stillness, this moment where it no longer has to stay alert, no longer has to stay tense, no longer has to hold everything together. And as that realization begins to settle in, your breathing becomes softer, quieter, more effortless, each inhale gently rising, each exhale slowly falling like a calm ocean, steady, peaceful, endless. With every breath out, imagine yourself releasing something small, something light. Maybe it's a thought that's been repeating, maybe it's a feeling you didn't have time to process, or maybe it's just a general heaviness, something you can't quite name, but you know it's there. You don't need to understand it to release it. Just let it go, let it drift away from you, like a cloud dissolving into the night sky, fading, disappearing, becoming lighter, until it's no longer yours to carry. And as you continue to let go, breath by breath, you may begin to feel a sense of space opening within you, a quiet emptiness, but not the kind that feels lonely, the kind that feels peaceful, calm, free. This is your natural state. This is what it feels like when you're not holding on to everything. And now, bring your awareness gently to your body again, noticing how it feels against the surface beneath you, supported, held, completely safe. Feel the weight of your body sinking down just a little more, as if gravity itself is helping you relax, helping you let go, carrying you deeper into comfort. Your legs, heavy, relaxed, no effort at all. Your arms, resting, completely at ease. Your chest, rising and falling gently, without tension, without resistance. Your face, soft, your jaw unclenched, your tongue resting easily, your eyes closed, not tightly, but gently, like they've finally found a place to rest. And as your body continues to soften, your mind begins to follow. Thoughts may still appear, and that's okay. You don't have to stop them. You don't have to control them. Just let them come and let them go, like leaves floating on a quiet stream, moving slowly, drifting further and further away. You are not your thoughts. You are the space behind them, the calm, the stillness, the quiet awareness that remains, even when everything else fades. And in this awareness, there is no stress, no pressure, no urgency, only calm, only stillness, only rest. And as you stay here, breathing slowly, feeling your body sink deeper, you may begin to notice something else, something even more subtle, a gentle warmth or a soft sensation moving through you, starting at the top of your head, slowly making its way down like a wave of calm energy. It moves across your forehead, smoothing out any remaining tension, quieting the last whispers of thought, down to your eyes, softening them, allowing them to rest even deeper. Your cheeks, your jaw, your neck, each area touched by this gentle wave, each one releasing just a little more. And as it continues down into your shoulders, you may notice just how much you've been carrying there. All the weight of your responsibilities, your worries, your efforts to keep going, even when you were tired. But right now, you don't have to carry any of it. Let it go. Let your shoulders drop completely, as if that weight is simply sliding off, dissolving, disappearing. And as that happens, a deeper sense of relief begins to settle in. Not loud, not overwhelming, but quiet, steady, real. This wave continues down your arms, through your elbows, your wrists, your hands, all the way to your fingertips, releasing every last bit of tension, leaving behind only softness, only calm. And now, it moves into your chest, and this is where so much has been held. Emotions you didn't have time to feel, moments that stayed with you longer than they should have, things you carried silently, without even realizing it. But now, you don't have to hold them anymore. With every breath out, feel them gently leaving your body, not forced, not pushed, just released, naturally, effortlessly. You are safe to let go. You are allowed to let go. And as this continues, your body sinks even deeper. Your breath becomes even slower. Your mind even quieter. And that quiet shift you felt at the beginning, it's growing now, becoming clearer, more noticeable. The heaviness fading, the tension dissolving, the noise softening, and in its place, something new is emerging. Something lighter, something calmer, something that feels like peace. And as you continue to drift deeper into this state, letting go more with every breath, you may begin to realize that this isn't something you have to create. It's something you've always had within you. It was just waiting for you to slow down, to listen, to allow. And now that you have, it's unfolding naturally, gently, guiding you further into rest. So just stay here a little longer, breathing slowly, feeling your body soften, your mind quiet, your energy begin to clear. Because this is only the beginning. And as you continue to let go, you'll find yourself moving even deeper into a space of calm, where everything becomes lighter, quieter, and more at ease. And as that gentle shift continues to unfold, you may begin to notice that you're ready to go even deeper into this calm, into this release, into the next layer that's been quietly waiting for you. And as that gentle shift continues to unfold, your awareness begins to drift even more softly inward, like you're being guided, not by effort, but by a quiet pull, something calm, something steady, drawing you away from the outside world and into a deeper, more peaceful space within. Still sense the world around you, faintly, distantly, but it no longer asks anything of you. It no longer pulls at your attention, because right now your focus is turning inward, gently, naturally, without force. It's almost like stepping into a quiet room after a long, noisy day where the door slowly closes behind you, and with it, the sound, the pressure, the constant movement, all fading into the background until all that remains is a soft, comforting stillness. And in this stillness, your mind begins to settle in a different way, not by trying to stop thinking, but by simply losing interest in the noise, as if the thoughts that once felt so important, so urgent, are now drifting further away, becoming quieter, softer, less defined. You don't need to follow them. You don't need to figure them out. Just let them pass, like distant echoes fading into silence. And as you allow this to happen, your awareness continues to sink deeper, moving gently beneath the surface of your thoughts into a place that feels slower, calmer, more open, a place where you can simply be. No roles, no expectations, no pressure to do or solve anything, just you resting in this quiet space. And you might begin to notice how different this feels, how unfamiliar, yet strangely comforting, because so much of your time is spent in movement, in thinking, in doing, in reacting. But here, there is none of that. Here, there is only stillness, only breath, only this moment. And as you stay here, your breath becomes even more subtle, almost like it's breathing on its own, without your attention, without effort, rising, falling, in a slow, gentle rhythm, each inhale quietly supporting you, each exhale softly letting go. And with every exhale, you may feel yourself drifting just a little deeper, like sinking into a soft, endless calm, your body heavier now, more relaxed than before, as if every muscle has been given permission to fully rest, your mind quieter, no longer reaching, no longer holding on, and your awareness moving deeper inward toward a space that feels untouched by stress, untouched by the weight of the day. This is your inner space, a place that has always been here, even when everything else felt overwhelming, even when your mind was busy, even when your body was tense. This space remained calm, still, waiting for you to return. And now you're here. And there is nothing you need to do to stay here, because the more you try, the more you move away. So instead, just allow yourself to rest in this quiet awareness. Allow your thoughts to come and go without pulling you with them. Allow your body to sink deeper without resistance. And as you do, something very gentle begins to happen. Your inner space starts to expand. At first, it may feel small, subtle, like a quiet corner within you, but the more you allow, the more it grows, spreading softly, like darkness settling across the sky at night, calm, natural, effortless, and within this expanding space, there is no tension, no heaviness, no need to hold anything at all. Everything feels lighter here, freer, more open. And as this openness continues to grow, you may begin to sense a deeper level of release happening, not just in your body, but in your energy, in your emotions, in the quiet places within you that often go unnoticed. It's not something you need to control. It's simply unfolding, like layers gently peeling away, one by one, without effort, and with each layer that softens, you move deeper into this calm, deeper into this stillness, deeper into a place where nothing feels overwhelming anymore. Even the things that once felt heavy begin to lose their weight, not because they've disappeared, but because you're no longer holding them the same way. You're not gripping, not resisting, not trying to push anything away. You're simply allowing, and in that allowing, everything begins to shift, everything begins to soften, everything begins to clear, and as this clearing continues, your awareness becomes even more quiet, more spacious, more at ease. It's almost like floating, not in a physical sense, but in a way that feels light, supported, free from effort. There's nothing to hold on to, nothing to figure out, nothing to carry, only this calm, open space where you can rest completely. And the more you stay here, the more natural it begins to feel, the more familiar, as if you're remembering something that was always a part of you, but often hidden beneath the surface of your daily life, a quiet presence, a steady calm, a place where everything is okay, just as it is. And as you continue to rest in this space, your breath guiding you gently, your body completely at ease, your mind soft and quiet, you may begin to notice something else, a subtle feeling of safety, not the kind that depends on anything outside of you, but a deep internal sense of being held, being supported, being okay, right here, in this moment. And that feeling continues to grow. With every breath, it deepens. With every exhale, it settles in more fully until it becomes the background of your experience, steady, calm, always there. And from this place of safety, your awareness is able to go even deeper, even further inward, toward a space that feels even more quiet, even more still, where the next layer of release is waiting, where the next gentle shift is ready to unfold. And as you begin to move toward that space, effortlessly, naturally, without even trying, you may start to feel that something within you is opening just a little more, preparing you, softly, for what comes next. As you rest in this growing calm, with your awareness gently settled inward, you may begin to notice something subtle, something quiet, almost like a whisper from within your own body, areas that are softly asking for your attention, not loudly, not urgently, but patiently, as if they've been waiting for this exact moment of stillness to finally be seen. There is no need to search for these places. You don't have to scan or analyze, because your body knows. It will guide your awareness naturally to wherever it needs to go. And all you have to do is notice. Perhaps it begins in a familiar place, a slight tightness in your shoulders, a gentle pressure in your chest, a heaviness behind your eyes, or maybe something more subtle, something you've never quite paid attention to before. Wherever it is, just allow your awareness to rest there, softly, like placing a warm light over that area, without judgment, without trying to change anything. And as you bring this gentle awareness, something begins to shift, because so often tension stays in the body simply because it hasn't been acknowledged, it hasn't been given space, it hasn't been allowed to exist without resistance. But now, in this quiet moment, you're doing something different. You're not pushing it away, you're not trying to fix it. You're simply noticing, and that alone begins to soften it. Take a slow, easy breath in, and imagine that breath flowing directly into that area, filling it with space, with softness, with ease. And as you exhale, feel that tension respond, even if just slightly, even if it's barely noticeable, like a gentle loosening, a quiet release. There's no rush, no pressure for it to disappear, because this isn't about forcing anything to leave. It's about creating the kind of space where it naturally no longer needs to stay. And as you continue breathing this way, slow, steady, calm, you may begin to notice that the sensation changes. Maybe it softens, maybe it shifts, maybe it becomes lighter or moves to another place. Whatever happens, it's okay. Just keep allowing, keep noticing, because each moment of awareness, each breath of softness is guiding your body deeper into release. And now, as that first area begins to respond, your awareness may gently expand, becoming more open, more curious, not searching, but simply allowing whatever needs to come forward, to be felt. Perhaps another place begins to reveal itself, somewhere you didn't expect, somewhere that feels a little more hidden, a little more quiet. Just bring your attention there, the same gentle way, without judgment, without urgency, and notice what's there. Is it tight, heavy, warm, cool, still, or shifting? There's no right or wrong, just sensation, just presence. And as you stay with it, you may begin to sense something deeper beneath the surface of that tension, something emotional, something unspoken, something that was held there quietly, without words. You don't need to name it, you don't need to understand it. Just let it be felt, because sometimes the body holds on to what the mind didn't have time to process. Moments that passed too quickly, feelings that were set aside, energy that stayed, because there was nowhere else for it to go. But now you've created space. Now there is room for it to move, room for it to soften, room for it to release. And as you continue to breathe gently into this space, you may begin to feel a deeper shift happening, like something within that area is slowly unwinding, like a knot being loosened, thread by thread, not all at once, but gradually, naturally, and with each soft exhale, you're giving it permission to let go, not by force, but by allowing it to no longer hold on. And as this release begins to deepen, you may notice a sense of relief, subtle at first, but real, like a quiet lightness replacing something that once felt heavy. And that lightness begins to spread, moving gently through your body, touching other areas, inviting them to soften as well. Because once the body feels safe to release in one place, it begins to open in others, like a ripple, expanding slowly, naturally, without effort. And now, your awareness becomes even more open, more receptive, as if you're listening to your body in a deeper way, hearing what it's been holding without words. And as you continue to notice, you may begin to realize that these areas of tension are not problems. They're messages, signals from your body, asking to be felt, asking to be acknowledged, asking to be released. And tonight, you're finally listening, not with pressure, not with expectation, but with patience, with kindness, with presence, and that changes everything. Because the more you listen this way, the more your body trusts you, the more it feels safe to let go, the more it allows those deeper layers to rise gently into awareness, where they can finally soften. And as this process continues, you may feel yourself sinking even deeper into the surface beneath you, your body heavier now, more relaxed, more open, your breath slower, softer, more effortless, your mind quiet, no longer trying to control, no longer trying to figure anything out, just observing, just allowing, just being. And within this state, something powerful is happening, even if it feels subtle. Energy that was once held is beginning to move. Emotions that were once stored are beginning to release. Tension that was once constant is beginning to dissolve, all without force, all without effort, simply because you created space, simply because you allowed. And as you stay here, breathing gently, noticing softly, letting your body guide you, you may begin to feel that there is still more beneath the surface, more layers, more spaces, more quiet places within you that are ready to be seen, ready to be felt, ready to be released, not all at once, but slowly, gently, in their own time. And you don't need to go searching for them, because as you continue to rest in this awareness, they will come to you one by one, softly, patiently, waiting for your attention, waiting for your presence, waiting for this exact moment. And as you remain here, open, calm, deeply connected to your body and the quiet signals within it, you may begin to sense that something else is starting to happen, something even softer, even more subtle, as if these areas of tension, now gently revealed, are preparing to dissolve even further, preparing to fade, preparing to release in a deeper, more complete way, guiding you naturally into the next layer of calm, the next wave of softness, the next quiet unfolding that is already beginning just beneath the surface. And with each soft breath out, those hidden tensions begin to dissolve, slowly, gently, like mist fading into the cool night air, not forced, not rushed, just naturally losing their form, their weight, their hold on you, as if they were never meant to stay this long. Stay with your breath. Let it guide you, because every exhale is doing something quiet, something powerful. It's creating space, opening room within you, where heaviness once lived, where tightness once stayed. And now, with each slow release, that space begins to feel lighter, calmer, more at ease. You might notice it in small ways at first, a subtle softening in your chest, a gentle loosening in your shoulders, a quiet sense that something has shifted, even if you can't fully explain it. And that's okay, because this isn't something you need to understand. It's something you simply allow. Take another slow breath in, and as you exhale, imagine that breath carrying away any remaining tension, like a soft wave washing over you, collecting anything that feels heavy, anything that feels out of place, and gently pulling it away. dissolving it into nothing. There is nothing you need to hold on to right now, nothing you need to keep, nothing you need to protect, because in this moment you are safe to release completely. And as that understanding begins to settle deeper within you, your body responds, letting go even more, muscles softening, layers unwinding, tension melting, like warmth spreading through every part of you. Your forehead smooths, your jaw relaxes, your neck releases its quiet strain, and your shoulders, they drop even further now, as if they're finally free from carrying what they no longer need to hold. Let them rest, let them be heavy, let them sink. And as your body continues to soften, your breath becomes even more gentle, almost like a whisper, rising, falling, without effort, without control, simply flowing, naturally, peacefully, with every breath out. Feel that sense of release deepen, as if you're peeling away layers, one by one, each exhale letting go of something older, something deeper, something that has been quietly waiting for this moment. You don't need to know what it is. You don't need to name it. You just let it go, because your body knows. Your body understands what it's been holding, and now it's finally ready to release it. And as this release continues, you may begin to feel a sense of lightness spreading through you, not all at once, but gradually, gently, like the first hint of morning light, slowly filling the darkness. This lightness doesn't push anything away. It simply replaces what is no longer there. Where there was tension, there is now softness. Where there was heaviness, there is now space. Where there was noise, there is now quiet. And in that quiet, you can finally rest. Stay here for a moment. Just noticing, just feeling, just allowing. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to change, because everything is already unfolding exactly as it should. And as you remain in this space, you may notice that the release becomes even deeper, more complete, as if your body is letting go on levels you can't even feel, layers beneath awareness, gently dissolving, quietly clearing. It's happening without effort, without force, simply because you allowed yourself to be still, simply because you gave your body permission to let go. And now, your entire system is responding. Your breath slower, your body heavier, your mind quieter, and your energy becoming lighter, clearer, more open. Feel that openness now, spreading through you like a soft expansion, reaching into every part of your body, filling the spaces that were once tight, once closed, once holding on. And as this openness grows, you may begin to feel a deeper sense of calm settling in, not just on the surface, but within, deep within, where everything feels steady, balanced, at peace. This is where the true release happens, not in effort, but in surrender, not in control, but in allowing. And you're already doing it, without trying, without forcing, just by being here, just by breathing, just by letting go. And as you continue to rest in this gentle unfolding, something within you begins to trust this process even more. Trust that it's safe to release, safe to soften, safe to let go completely. And that trust allows the release to go even deeper, even further, into places that have been holding on for a long time, places that are now ready to finally rest. And as those deeper layers begin to dissolve, you may feel a sense of ease spreading through your entire body, like a quiet wave of comfort, moving slowly, steadily, touching everything, calming everything, softening everything. Let yourself sink into that feeling. Let it carry you. Let it hold you, because you don't need to hold yourself up anymore. You are being supported. You are being carried. You are allowed to rest. And as you drift deeper into this calm, deeper into this softness, deeper into this quiet release, you may begin to notice that there is even more space within you now, more room to breathe, more room to feel light, more room to simply be. And in that space, something new is beginning to emerge, something calm, something clear, something peaceful. And as it gently begins to take shape, you may feel yourself being drawn further into this stillness, further into this quiet, further into the next layer of calm that is already waiting for you, ready to guide you even deeper into rest, into release, into a space where your mind begins to slow even more, your thoughts begin to fade even further, and everything within you moves toward a softer, quieter, more peaceful state. As this sense of space continues to expand within you, your mind begins to slow its rhythm, gently, naturally, without force, like a spinning wheel that no longer needs to keep turning so fast, gradually easing, softening, becoming quieter with every passing breath. You may still notice thoughts appearing, small fragments of the day, echoes of conversations, unfinished to-do lists, or random images drifting through your awareness, and that's okay. This is what the mind does. It moves, it wanders, it tries to hold on. But tonight, something is different. Tonight, you're not following those thoughts. You're not stepping into them or getting carried away by them. You're simply watching from a distance, calm, steady, untouched. And as you take another slow breath in and gently exhale, you may notice how those thoughts begin to lose their intensity, like distant voices fading into the background, becoming softer, less defined, less important. You don't need to silence them, because when you stop feeding them, they quiet on their own. So just let them be, let them pass, like clouds drifting slowly across a wide, open sky, appearing, moving, and then dissolving, without leaving anything behind. And as you continue to rest in this quiet observation, your mind begins to settle even more, thoughts becoming fewer, spaces between them becoming longer, deeper, more peaceful. It's in these spaces that calm begins to grow. It's in these spaces that your mind remembers how to rest. And as those spaces expand, you may begin to feel a gentle stillness spreading through your awareness, like a soft blanket of quiet, wrapping around your thoughts, easing them, slowing them, until they no longer feel urgent, no longer demand your attention. Your mind is learning that it doesn't need to stay active right now. It doesn't need to solve anything. It doesn't need to figure anything out, because this moment is not for thinking. This moment is for resting. And as that understanding settles in, your thoughts begin to drift even further apart, like ripples on water slowly smoothing out until the surface becomes calm, clear, undisturbed. You might notice a thought begin to form, and before it fully takes shape, it fades away gently, effortlessly, as if it no longer has the energy to continue. That's okay. That's exactly what's meant to happen, because your mind is letting go of its need to stay busy, letting go of its habit to keep moving, letting go of the idea that it always has to be on. And as it lets go, it begins to rest deeper, softer, more completely. Feel that now. The quiet between thoughts, the gentle stillness, the calm that's beginning to take over. You're not creating this calm. You're allowing it. It's been here all along. Beneath the noise, beneath the constant movement, waiting for a moment like this, where it can rise to the surface. And now it is. With every breath, your mind becomes lighter. With every exhale, it becomes quieter. And as this continues, You may begin to feel a sense of detachment from your thoughts, not in a distant or disconnected way, but in a peaceful way, where you no longer feel pulled into them. They come, and you let them go, without effort, without resistance, without holding on. And in that space, you remain calm, steady, at ease, your awareness resting quietly, like a still lake under a night sky, undisturbed, peaceful, clear. And as you stay here, something within your mind begins to reset, gently, naturally, as if it's remembering a rhythm it had forgotten, a slower rhythm, a softer pace, one that feels more aligned, more restful, more natural to who you are. This is the rhythm of rest, the rhythm of sleep, the rhythm your mind returns to when it no longer needs to stay alert, and you're moving into it now, effortlessly, thought by thought, fading moment by moment, quieting until even the idea of thinking begins to feel distant, unnecessary, and in its place there is only calm, only space, only stillness. Stay here for a moment, just resting in this quiet mind, noticing how it feels, how light, how open, how free. There's nothing to do here, nothing to change, nothing to become, because this is already enough. And as you continue to breathe softly, allowing your mind to rest even deeper, you may begin to feel that stillness spreading beyond your thoughts into your entire being, your body already soft, your breath already calm, and now your mind joining them in this shared state of peace. Everything slowing together, everything softening together, everything letting go together. And as this deep calm settles in, layer by layer, breath by breath, your awareness begins to drift even further, carried gently by this quiet, into a place where observation fades, where effort disappears, and where you begin to move into an even deeper state of rest, a place where the mind no longer needs to watch, no longer needs to notice, because everything is already settling, everything is already softening, guiding you gently, naturally, into the next layer, where observation gives way to pure stillness, and your awareness begins to dissolve even further into calm. And in this quieting of the mind, you may begin to notice something gentle, almost surprising, how unnecessary so much of that mental noise truly was, how many thoughts were simply passing through, asking for your attention without ever really needing it. Stay here, in this softness, just observing, without stepping in, without reaching out, because now there is a small distance between you and the thoughts themselves, and in that space something new begins to form, a quiet awareness, steady, calm, unmoving. It doesn't react, it doesn't chase, it simply watches. And as you rest in this place of observation, you may notice how each thought begins to lose its pull, like waves that once felt strong, now becoming softer, slower, fading before they even reach the shore. You don't have to push them away, you don't have to stop them, because you're no longer inside them, you're beyond them, and that changes everything. Take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, feel yourself settling even deeper into this awareness, as if you're gently stepping back, further away from the surface of your thoughts, into a deeper, quieter layer beneath. This is where stillness lives, not at the surface, but just below it, waiting, always there. And now you're beginning to feel it more clearly. Thoughts may still appear, but they pass like distant echoes, faint, quiet, almost transparent, as if they no longer have the strength to fully form, and you remain here, unmoved, at ease, just watching them come and go, like clouds drifting through a wide, open sky. But you are not the clouds. You are the sky itself, spacious, endless, unaffected. And as this realization gently settles within you, your mind begins to let go even more, releasing its need to comment, to label, to understand. Because in this space, nothing needs to be explained. Nothing needs to be solved. Everything simply is, and that simplicity brings a deeper kind of peace, a peace that doesn't depend on anything, a peace that doesn't come and go, a peace that remains. Even as everything else changes, stay with that feeling now, that quiet, steady presence. Notice how calm it is, how still, how safe. There is nothing here to disturb you, nothing here to pull you out, because this space exists beneath all of that, untouched, unchanged, always available. And as you rest here, your body responds in its own quiet way, softening even more, sinking deeper into the surface beneath you, as if it finally trusts that it can let go completely. Your shoulders heavier, your chest open and easy, your jaw loose, your breath slow, gentle, effortless, everything moving toward rest, and your mind no longer leading, no longer pulling you forward, just following softly into stillness, into quiet, into this calm awareness that asks nothing of you. And as you continue to observe without effort, you may begin to notice something else, a sense of space expanding, not just around your thoughts, but within your entire awareness, like the boundaries are softening, widening, opening, giving you more room to simply be. And in that openness, everything feels lighter, freer. There is no pressure here, no urgency, no need to hold on to anything at all, because nothing is being taken from you. You are simply releasing what you no longer need, naturally, effortlessly. And as you stay in this place, observing without attachment, you may begin to feel that your awareness is becoming quieter still, not just calm, but deeply still, as if even the act of observing is beginning to soften, fade, dissolve. There is less to notice, less to follow, less to think about, and more to simply feel the stillness, feel the quiet, feel the gentle presence that remains when everything else slows down. This is where your mind begins to rest in a deeper way, not just free from thoughts, but free from the need to watch them at all. And as that happens, your awareness begins to settle even further, dropping gently into a deeper layer of calm, where everything becomes softer, slower, more distant, and you don't have to do anything to go there, because you're already moving, already drifting, already being guided by this quiet unfolding. And as you allow yourself to sink into it, fully, without resistance, without effort, you may begin to feel a gentle wave of comfort moving through you, like a soft current, carrying you deeper into rest, deeper into ease, deeper into a place where your mind no longer needs to hold anything at all. And as that wave continues, steady, soothing, you may notice that your awareness is becoming lighter, almost floating, as if it's no longer anchored to thought, no longer tied to effort, just drifting softly, peacefully into the next layer of stillness, where even observation begins to fade, and your entire being moves toward a deeper, quieter, more complete state of rest. As you observe without effort, resting gently in that quiet awareness, your body begins to respond in a deeper, more instinctive way, softening beyond the surface, releasing layers you didn't even realize you were carrying, layers that have been held quietly, patiently, waiting for this exact moment of stillness. There is nothing you need to do to make this happen, because your body already understands. It knows how to unwind. It knows how to let go when it feels safe, when it feels supported. And right now, in this calm, open space, that safety is present. You might begin to notice a deeper heaviness settling into your body, not uncomfortable, but grounding, soothing, like being gently held, as if the surface beneath you is rising slightly, meeting you, supporting every part of you without effort, your shoulders dropping even further now, releasing more than before, as if they've been given permission to fully rest, your arms loose, weightless, no tension left to hold, your chest open, soft, breathing without resistance. And as this softening continues, it moves deeper, beyond the muscles, beyond the surface, into places you don't usually feel, places that have been holding on to subtle tension, quietly, for longer than you realize. Let yourself feel that now, not by searching, but by allowing. Because the more you allow, the more your body reveals, gently, naturally, in its own time. You may sense a slight shift in your lower back, a release in your hips, a soft unwinding in your legs. Each area responding to this calm, letting go of what it no longer needs to carry. It's almost like your body is exhaling, not just through your breath, but through every part of you, letting go, softening, unwinding, and with every layer that releases, you move deeper into comfort, deeper into ease, deeper into a state where nothing is being held tightly anymore. There is no resistance here, no effort, only surrender. And that surrender is gentle. It's not something you force, it's something you fall into. Naturally, like sinking into a soft, endless cushion of calm. Feel your body now, how it's changing, how it's becoming heavier, more relaxed, more supported. Your legs fully at rest. No effort to hold them up. Your hips sinking, releasing, letting go of any tightness. Your stomach soft, free from tension, moving gently with your breath. And your chest rising and falling in a slow, steady rhythm. Each breath guiding you deeper into relaxation. As this continues, you may begin to feel a subtle warmth spreading through your body, a comforting sensation, like a gentle glow, moving slowly, touching each area that has softened, each place that has released. This warmth doesn't rush. It flows, steady, calm, soothing, and wherever it goes, it deepens the relaxation. It reassures your body that it's safe to let go even more, safe to soften completely, safe to rest. And as your body receives that message, it responds, letting go of even the smallest traces of tension, releasing even the quietest holding, until there is nothing left to hold at all, only softness, only calm, only this deep, steady ease. And as your body settles into this state, your awareness begins to follow, becoming quieter, more grounded, more connected to this feeling of complete relaxation. There's no need to think about it, no need to understand it, just feel it. Feel the way your body is being held, supported, carried, without effort, without resistance. And as you stay here, resting in this deep softness, you may begin to notice how different everything feels now, how distant the tension seems, how quiet the mind has become, how easy it is to simply be. This is what happens when you stop holding on, when you stop trying, when you allow your body to return to its natural state of rest, and you're here now, fully supported, fully relaxed, fully at ease. And as this deep relaxation continues to spread, you may begin to feel an even deeper layer beneath it, something softer, something quieter, something that draws you in even more, like a gentle pull, inviting you to go further, further into calm, further into stillness, further into a place where everything slows down. Even more, and as you follow that gentle pull, without effort, without resistance, just allowing yourself to drift, you may begin to sense that a new kind of comfort is beginning to form, something deeper than physical relaxation, something that touches your entire being, preparing you softly for the next wave of calm, the next unfolding, the next gentle shift that is already beginning to rise just beneath the surface. And as those deeper layers continue to unwind, that gentle wave of comfort begins to move through you, steady, soothing, almost like a quiet current, carrying you further into ease, further into stillness, further into a place where nothing feels heavy anymore. You don't have to follow it, you don't have to guide it, just allow it to move naturally, effortlessly, because this wave knows exactly where to go. It reaches the spaces that need it most, the places that have been holding, the areas that have been waiting quietly, patiently for this soft release. You may begin to feel it now as a subtle warmth or a calm sensation flowing from the top of your head, slowly drifting downward, not rushing, not skipping, touching each part of you with care. As it passes over your forehead, it smooths out any remaining tension, quieting even the faintest echoes of thought, leaving behind a soft, open calm. Your eyes, resting deeper now, heavy, peaceful, as if they've completely let go of the need to stay alert. Your cheeks, your jaw, loosening even more, every small muscle unwinding, releasing the last traces of effort. And as this wave continues, it moves into your neck, gently dissolving any tightness, allowing that area to soften, to rest, to be supported without strain, then into your shoulders, where so much has already been released. And yet, there is always a little more, a deeper layer, quietly letting go now, as this wave moves through, carrying away anything that remains. Let your shoulders sink, fully, completely. Feel that quiet relief, that sense of being free from holding. And as this soothing current flows down through your arms, your elbows, your wrists, your hands, it leaves behind a deep sense of stillness, as if your arms are no longer something you need to control. They simply rest, effortlessly, exactly where they are, your fingers loose, relaxed, at ease. And now this wave reaches your chest, moving slowly, gently, into that space where so much has softened already. And as it flows through, it deepens that softness, expanding it, creating even more room, more openness, more calm. With each breath, your chest feels lighter, more free, as if it's no longer carrying anything at all. And as this wave continues downward, it moves into your stomach, your lower back, your hips, bringing a deep, grounding comfort, allowing those areas to release completely, to sink, to be held. Your hips, heavy now, supported, letting go of any tension that remained unnoticed. Your lower back, soft, free from strain, gently resting. And as the wave moves further into your legs, your thighs, your knees, your calves, it continues to unwind, to soften, to release every muscle, letting go, every layer, opening until your legs feel completely at rest, heavy, grounded, fully supported. And finally, this gentle wave reaches your feet, flowing all the way down through your ankles into your toes, completing its journey, leaving behind a deep, full-body sense of calm. And as this wave settles, you may notice how different your body feels now. So much lighter, so much softer, so much more at ease, as if everything that once felt tight has now opened. Everything that once felt heavy has now lifted. Everything that once needed to be held has now been released. And in this state, your body no longer feels like something you need to manage. It simply rests naturally, effortlessly, and as you stay here, feeling this full body calm, you may begin to notice that the wave doesn't disappear. It continues gently in the background, like a slow, steady rhythm, moving through you again and again, each time softening you a little more, each time carrying you a little deeper. There is no end to it, only a continuous flow of comfort, of ease, of quiet support. And with every pass of this gentle current, your body sinks deeper, your breath slows further, your mind becomes even quieter, until everything begins to move together, in harmony, in stillness, in calm. And as you allow this flow to continue, without interruption, without resistance, you may begin to feel a deeper trust forming, a quiet knowing that you don't need to control anything at all, that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, that this wave, this comfort, this calm is guiding you naturally into deeper and deeper rest. And as that trust grows, you let go even more, releasing any last traces of effort, allowing yourself to be carried fully, completely. And as you surrender to that, you may begin to sense something even deeper beneath this wave, something softer, more subtle, a feeling that your entire being is being held, not just your body, but your energy, your awareness, everything within you. And that feeling continues to grow gently, steadily, drawing you further inward, further downward into a space where everything becomes even more quiet, even more still, even more at peace, preparing you softly for the next gentle unfolding, the next layer of calm that is already beginning to rise just beneath this steady, soothing wave. And as that deep calm continues to settle through your entire body, something even more subtle begins to happen, something quieter than thought, softer than breath, almost like a shift in the background of your awareness itself. You may not notice it immediately, because it doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't demand attention. It simply begins to unfold, gently, naturally, as if your entire system is slowly recalibrating itself into a more peaceful rhythm, a rhythm that doesn't rush, a rhythm that doesn't strain, a rhythm that simply is. And as you rest here, you might begin to feel as if your sense of time is starting to soften. Moments no longer feel separate or structured. They begin to flow into one another, like gentle waves merging together, creating a continuous, seamless experience of calm. There is no need to track anything, no need to measure anything, no need to move toward anything, because in this space, everything is already happening exactly as it should. And as that realization settles in, your mind lets go of another layer of effort, another layer of holding, another layer of needing to stay involved. It simply steps back, quietly, softly, and allows the experience to unfold on its own. And in that stepping back, something beautiful begins to emerge, a deeper sense of presence, not the kind that focuses or analyzes, but the kind that simply rests in awareness, without attachment, without direction, without resistance. You are here, fully, completely, without needing to be anywhere else. And as you stay in this presence, you may begin to notice how deeply your body is now at rest, as if every system within you has synchronized into a single state of softness. Your breathing, steady, slow, effortless. Your heartbeat, calm, unhurried. Your muscles, relaxed, fully supported, and your mind no longer reaching outward, no longer searching, simply settling inward into quiet. And in this quiet, something begins to deepen, a feeling of being held, not physically, but in a way that feels more complete, more total, more encompassing, as if the space around you and within you has become one continuous field of calm. And within that field, there is nothing to defend, nothing to hold on to, nothing to resist, only ease, only softness, only this steady unfolding of rest. And as that sense of being held deepens, your awareness begins to drift even further inward, moving beyond the edges of thought, beyond the edges of sensation, into a quieter layer beneath it all, a place where everything feels distant but not disconnected, a place where everything feels soft but not unclear, a place where everything simply exists without effort. And as you arrive in this deeper layer, you may notice that even your awareness of you begins to soften, not disappearing, just becoming lighter, less defined, more spacious, as if you are no longer a point of tension or focus, but a wide, open presence, resting effortlessly in calm. And in that openness, something begins to shift again, very gently, very subtly, almost like a deep internal exhale that you didn't know you were holding, releasing, letting go, softening even further. And as that release continues, you may begin to feel that there is nothing left to hold inside anymore, no tension to manage, no thoughts to carry, no emotions to process, just space, expanding space, quiet space, peaceful space, and within that space, everything feels lighter than before, almost weightless, almost suspended, like floating without movement. And the more you allow this state, the more natural it becomes, because nothing here is being forced, nothing here is being created. Everything is simply unfolding from within you. And as this unfolding continues, you may begin to sense that your awareness is now resting in a deeper layer of calm than before, a layer where even subtle effort feels distant, a layer where even observation feels unnecessary, a layer where simply existing is enough, and in that simplicity, something profound begins to settle, a quiet certainty that you are safe, that you are held, that you can fully let go. And as that certainty settles deeper, your entire system responds, loosening further, softening further, sinking further into a calm that feels endless, steady, and completely uninterrupted. And now even the idea of deeper begins to fade, because there is no direction here, no up or down, no forward or backward, only stillness, only quiet, only this continuous sense of ease that seems to expand on its own. And as you rest in that expansion, something even more subtle begins to happen again, a final softening, a final release, not of something specific, but of everything remaining, until there is nothing left to release. Only space, only calm, only this quiet awareness that continues to gently hold you. And as that awareness deepens further, you may begin to notice that even the feeling of holding on is gone now. There is nothing to hold, nothing to resist, nothing to carry. And in that emptiness, there is fullness, a fullness of peace, a fullness of stillness, a fullness of rest. And as you remain here, gently drifting in this expanded calm, something within you begins to prepare for an even deeper descent, a softer layer, a quieter space, where everything slows even more, where everything fades even further, and where you naturally begin to move gently into the next level of deep rest. And now, as everything continues to soften even further, something very subtle begins to change again, not in a sudden way, not in any dramatic way, but in a quiet, almost invisible way, like the final settling of everything that has already been released. It's as if your entire system is now learning how to stay in stillness, without effort, without resistance, without even trying to stay still. Because now, stillness is not something you are doing, it is something you are becoming. And as you rest here, you may begin to notice that even the idea of going deeper starts to feel less important, because there is no longer a sense of direction, no longer a sense of effort, no longer a sense of movement that needs to be followed. Instead, everything feels like it is simply unfolding in place, softly, quietly, naturally. And in that unfolding, your awareness begins to feel more and more spacious, as if the edges of your experience are dissolving, gently widening, until there is no clear boundary between where you end and where calm begins. There is only calm, only stillness, only this deep, continuous ease. And as you remain in that ease, your breath becomes so subtle, so gentle, that it almost feels like it is breathing itself, without instruction, without control, simply moving in and out like a quiet rhythm in the background of your awareness. Inhale, soft. Exhale, softer. No effort, no direction, just flow. And within that flow, your body continues to rest more completely than before, as if every remaining trace of tension has now been acknowledged and released and dissolved into this expanding calm. Your forehead smooth, still, your eyes deeply relaxed, heavy, peaceful, your jaw completely loose, no holding, no clenching, your neck soft, aligned, at ease, and your shoulders no longer carrying anything at all, just resting, fully supported, fully surrendered. And as this surrender deepens, something even more profound begins to emerge, a sense of disappearance, not of you, but of effort, of weight, of structure, as if everything that once felt solid is now becoming soft, fluid, almost dreamlike. And in that dreamlike quality, your awareness begins to float, not upward, not downward, but inward, into a quieter dimension of rest, a place where thinking is no longer active, where observing is no longer needed, where even awareness itself begins to soften at the edges. And as that softening continues, you may begin to feel something like a gentle distance forming between you and everything else. Not separation, but spaciousness, a calm, open space where nothing feels close enough to disturb you and nothing feels far enough to lose. Everything simply is, and as you rest in that spaciousness, You may begin to notice that your sense of identity itself becomes lighter, quieter, less defined. You are still here, but without effort, without tension, without needing to be anything specific, just presence, just calm, just being. And in that being, something very deep begins to settle, a final layer of relaxation, moving through you slowly, like a soft wave that has no end, only continuation. This wave does not push, it does not change anything forcefully. It simply moves through what remains, gently dissolving any last traces of holding, any last subtle resistance, any final tension that might still be resting quietly within you. And as it passes, everything it touches becomes softer, more open, more still, until there is nothing left that needs to soften anymore. Only softness itself, and as that softness stabilizes, you may begin to feel as if even the concept of body becomes less defined, not disappearing, but blending into a wider sense of calm awareness, as if everything is now part of one continuous field of rest. No separation, no edges, no resistance, only flow, only ease, only this deep and endless calm. And in that calm, something remarkable happens. There is nothing left to release, nothing left to fix, nothing left to hold. And so the mind, the body, the awareness, all begin to do the only thing left to do. They rest fully, completely, without interruption, without effort, without question. And as you remain here, in this deepening silence, even the idea of time begins to dissolve, as moments stop feeling like moments and instead feel like a continuous stretch of stillness that has no beginning and no end, just calm, just quiet, just this. And within this quiet, there is a subtle invitation not to go anywhere, not to do anything, but simply to remain, to allow this state to continue unfolding on its own, because there is nothing more you need to add, nothing more you need to remove. Everything is already exactly as it should be, and as you accept that fully, something even deeper begins to open, a final sense of letting go, not of something specific, but of the very need to hold on to anything at all. And in that final release, there is a profound sense of ease, as if your entire being has finally exhaled, completely, and there is nothing left but calm, only stillness, only this quiet, endless rest. And as you drift in that rest, gently, peacefully, without effort, you begin to move even further into the deepest layer of this experience, where everything becomes soft, silent, and still, beyond words, beyond thought, beyond effort, and fully into the space where sleep naturally begins to take over. And now, as everything has softened into this deep and quiet stillness, something even more delicate begins to unfold, something so subtle that it doesn't announce itself. It simply begins to happen, like the final settling of sand in a still glass of water, slow, natural, and complete. You may notice that your awareness feels lighter now, almost distant, as if you are no longer holding your attention in any one place. Instead, it is gently spreading out, dissolving into calm, blending with the quiet space around you. There is no effort to focus, no effort to hold on, only a soft, floating awareness that moves wherever stillness takes it. And as you rest here, your breath continues its quiet rhythm, so subtle now, so effortless, that it feels like the body is breathing on its own, without instruction, without intention, simply flowing like a calm tide in the background of your experience, In, soft, out, softer, and with each exhale, something inside you lets go just a little more, not in a dramatic way, but in a way that feels natural, inevitable, like something returning to its original state. And as this return continues, your body feels heavier, yet more comfortable, more supported, as if every surface beneath you has become softer, more welcoming, more perfectly designed to hold you exactly as you are. No adjustments needed, no corrections needed, just rest. And as you allow yourself to remain in this deep rest, your mind begins to drift even further away from active thought, as if each thought that appears is now too distant to fully form, too soft to hold your attention, too faint to pull you in, so they simply fade, one by one, without effort, without resistance, and in their place, there is only quiet, only stillness, only this expanding sense of calm that feels like it has no edge, no boundary, no limit, and as that calm expands, something very gentle begins to happen within your awareness. It begins to feel less like you are experiencing calm, and more like you are becoming calm itself, not separate from it, not observing it, but merging with it, softly, completely, without any need to define where one ends and the other begins. And in that merging, everything becomes simpler, everything becomes softer, everything becomes quieter, even the sense of effort itself begins to dissolve. And now there is only ease, only flow, only this continuous sense of deep relaxation that seems to hold you without needing to hold anything at all. And as you stay in this flow, your awareness begins to drift into an even more refined layer of stillness, a place where even the awareness of your body begins to soften. You are still here, but not anchored, not fixed, not tight, just present, light, expansive, like a gentle awareness floating in endless calm. And as that sense of floating deepens, you may begin to notice that even your thoughts about being here begin to fade. There is no need to define anything anymore. No need to track anything, no need to maintain anything, because everything is already in a perfect state of letting go, and that letting go continues on its own, without effort, without instruction, just unfolding gently, layer by layer, until even the idea of letting go begins to disappear, because there is nothing left to release, only space, only stillness, only this quiet presence that remains. And in that presence, something deeply soothing begins to settle over everything, like a soft blanket of silence, wrapping around your awareness, not covering it, but blending with it, becoming part of it, a silence so complete that even silence itself feels like movement at the edge of awareness. And as you rest in that silence, you may begin to feel that your entire being is now synchronized into one single state. No separation between body and mind, no separation between breath and awareness, no separation between thought and stillness. Everything has become one continuous experience of calm, and within that unity, there is no effort to maintain anything, because nothing needs maintaining. Everything is already in flow, everything is already at rest, everything is already exactly as it should be. And as that realization settles in, something very profound begins to unfold, a final softening, a deeper release than before, not of tension, not of thought, but of the very sense of holding itself, as if your entire system is now learning what it feels like to exist without gripping, without resisting, without managing anything at all. And in that state, there is only openness, only space, only this vast, quiet stillness that seems to stretch endlessly in every direction. And as you remain here, gently suspended in this deep calm, You may begin to notice that even the idea of going deeper no longer feels necessary, because there is no deeper, there is only here, and here is already infinite, already complete, already enough. And in that completeness, something very soft begins to happen, a sense of surrender, so natural, so effortless, that it feels like you were always meant to arrive here, not through effort, but through letting go. And now there is nothing left to guide, nothing left to follow, only this quiet unfolding, continuing on its own, gently carrying you further into stillness, where awareness itself begins to fade into the background of calm, and sleep begins to quietly take its place, step by step, breath by breath, until everything becomes soft, silent, and deeply at rest. And now, as you continue resting in this deep and quiet stillness, something even more subtle begins to happen, something that cannot be forced, cannot be chased, and does not need to be understood. It simply unfolds on its own, like the final soft exhale of a long day, where everything that needed attention has already been released, and what remains is only silence, only ease, only this gentle presence that feels like it has always been here. You may notice now that even your awareness feels more distant, more spacious, as if you are no longer sitting at the center of experience, but gently floating within it, held by it, carried by it. There is no effort to stay alert, no effort to stay focused, only a natural drifting, deeper, softer, quieter, and as you drift, your breath continues its slow rhythm, so smooth now, so calm, that it feels like it belongs to the space itself rather than to effort. Inhale like a whisper of air, exhale like a fading echo, and with each breath, something continues to loosen inside you, not in response to anything specific, but simply because there is nothing left to hold on to. Everything that needed your attention has already softened. Everything that needed your effort has already dissolved, and now there is only rest, only this gentle unfolding of stillness that continues without interruption. And as you remain here, you may begin to notice that your body feels almost weightless now, even though it is fully supported, fully grounded, fully held. It is a paradox of deep relaxation. The deeper you go, the lighter you feel, the more you release, the more spacious you become. And that spaciousness is now spreading through you, quietly, steadily, touching every corner of your awareness. There is no resistance left, no tension left to manage, only openness, only calm, only this soft and continuous sense of letting everything be exactly as it is. And as that acceptance settles in even more deeply, your mind begins to drift further away from structure, from definition, from any need to organize thoughts. It becomes less like a stream and more like a still lake, smooth, undisturbed, reflecting nothing but quiet, and even that reflection begins to fade, until there is only the feeling of presence, pure, simple, unbroken presence. And in that presence, something very gentle begins to happen, a sense of sinking, not downward, not upward, but inward, as if your awareness is slowly settling into a deeper layer of calm beneath everything else, a layer where thoughts are no longer forming, where sensations are no longer being analyzed, where everything is simply allowed to exist without interpretation. And as you sink into that layer, you may begin to feel a subtle dissolving of boundaries, the boundary between body and space, the boundary between breath and stillness, the boundary between awareness and silence. Everything begins to soften, everything begins to merge. Everything begins to flow into a single unified experience of calm, and within that calm, there is nothing to separate you from rest. You are rest. You are stillness. You are this quiet unfolding, and as that realization gently settles, even that realization begins to soften, because there is nothing left to hold on to, not even awareness itself, just a continuous, effortless presence that continues to deepen on its own. And now, something even quieter begins to emerge, a sense of suspension, as if time itself has become soft, stretched, undefined. Moments no longer move forward or backward. They simply exist, gently overlapping, dissolving into each other. And within that timeless space, everything becomes profoundly still, not frozen, but alive with silence. A silence that feels warm, supportive, complete. And as you rest within that silence, you may begin to notice that even the need to notice is fading. Observation itself becomes unnecessary, because there is nothing to track, nothing to follow, nothing to change. Only this continuous state of calm unfolding, and as that unfolding continues, you may begin to feel a final deepening, a final soft descent, where even the awareness of you resting begins to dissolve, not disappearing, but blending into everything else until there is no separation between rest and awareness, between silence and presence, between stillness and being. Only one continuous field of calm, and in that field, everything is already complete. Everything is already at ease. Everything is already exactly where it needs to be. And as you remain here, gently drifting in this boundless quiet, something begins to shift even further, not into something new, but into something simpler, something softer, something so effortless that even the idea of effort cannot exist here. And that is where you are now, in the softest layer of awareness, where nothing is required, where nothing is expected, where everything is allowed to simply be. And as you continue resting here, this deep stillness begins to gently carry you even further inward, beyond thought, beyond effort, beyond awareness itself, into the quiet space where sleep begins to take over completely, slowly, naturally, and without interruption. And now, as you drift even deeper into this quiet unfolding, something very subtle begins to happen, something so soft, so natural, that it doesn't feel like a change at all. It feels like returning to something familiar, something peaceful, something that has always been here beneath everything else, a stillness that was never missing, only hidden beneath the noise of thought, beneath the weight of the day, beneath the constant movement of attention. And now, as everything continues to settle, that stillness begins to rise to the surface again, gently, steadily, without effort. You may notice that your awareness feels even more distant now, as if you are no longer holding on to it directly, but instead floating within it, supported by it, surrounded by it. There is no need to focus, no need to guide anything, no need to hold anything together, because everything is already held naturally, effortlessly, within this expanding calm. And as you remain here, your breath continues its soft rhythm, almost imperceptible now, like a gentle tide moving in and out of a vast quiet shore. Inhale, barely noticeable. Exhale, dissolving into silence, and with each breath, something within you continues to soften, not as a reaction, but as a release that has been building all along, a release that doesn't need permission because it is already happening. And as it unfolds, your body feels even heavier and yet more comfortable, as if heaviness itself has transformed into support, into grounding, into deep rest. Every part of you is now being held in stillness. Every layer is being supported without effort. Every trace of tension is dissolving into calm. And as this continues, your mind begins to quiet even further, thoughts no longer forming in full, only faint impressions, like distant echoes that cannot fully reach you. They appear and they fade, without interruption, without attachment, without leaving any trace behind, and in their place there is only space. Expansive, open, uninterrupted space. And within that space, something begins to deepen again. A sense of sinking, not downward in direction, but inward into stillness, as if your awareness is gently descending through layers of quiet, each one softer than the last, each one more peaceful than before. And as you descend, you may begin to feel a subtle fading of effort itself, not just physical effort, but mental effort, emotional effort, the effort to be aware, the effort to remain present, the effort to understand. All of it begins to dissolve, quietly, naturally, without resistance, and what remains is presence without effort, awareness without strain, stillness without direction, and in that state, something very profound begins to settle in, a complete sense of ease, not temporary, not conditional, but steady, continuous, and quietly vast, as if everything within you has finally remembered how to rest without needing anything at all. And as you stay here, you may begin to notice that even the idea of you becomes softer, less defined, not disappearing, but becoming less separate, less fixed, more like a gentle awareness blending into the calm around it. And in that blending, everything becomes unified. There is no longer you resting in calm. There is only calm, resting as you. And that realization, even though subtle, brings a deeper surrender, because there is nothing left to maintain, nothing left to control, nothing left to hold together. Everything is already in perfect ease. And as that surrender deepens, something even quieter begins to unfold, a sense of timelessness. Moments no longer feel like they begin or end. They simply exist, softly merging into each other, like waves dissolving into a still ocean. There is no forward movement, no backward reflection. Only this continuous stillness that feels infinite in every direction. And within that infinity, there is complete safety, complete softness, complete rest. And as you remain here, you may begin to feel that even awareness itself is becoming lighter, less active, less defined, as if it is no longer observing anything at all, but simply existing as calm. And in that existence, there is nothing to process, nothing to analyze, nothing to interpret, only being pure, quiet, effortless being. And as that being settles deeper, something very gentle begins to happen again, a final softening, deeper than before, not because something new is happening, but because nothing is left to hold on to, and in that absence of holding, everything becomes even more open, even more still, even more complete. And now there is no direction left at all, no sense of deeper or further, no sense of before or after, only this vast continuous calm. And as you rest in that calm, something begins to shift into an even quieter state, where awareness itself becomes less noticeable, where presence becomes softer than thought, where even stillness begins to fade into pure rest. And that is where you are now, on the edge of sleep, not arriving, not leaving, just gently dissolving into it, slowly, naturally, completely. And as this final layer of calm deepens, you are guided effortlessly into a place where awareness no longer needs to remain active, and sleep begins to take over fully, carrying you gently, quietly, and completely into deep, uninterrupted rest. And now, as everything continues to soften, even the idea of going deeper begins to fade away, because there is no longer a sense of direction left to follow. No need to move forward, no need to return back, no need to reach anything, because what remains is already enough, already complete, already at rest. And in this quiet completion, something very subtle begins to happen. A final settling, like the last grain of sand finding its place at the bottom of still water, barely noticeable, yet deeply significant, because it marks the point where effort is no longer present at all, not even the effort to relax, not even the effort to let go, just stillness, without participation. And as you rest here, your awareness feels lighter than ever before, almost as if it is no longer anchored to anything specific, but gently floating within a vast, calm openness. There is no center to hold, no edge to define, only space, endless, soft, quiet space. And within that space, your breath continues, but even it feels distant now, like a soft rhythm in the background of awareness rather than something you are actively doing. Inhale, like a whisper in stillness. Exhale, like a fading echo dissolving into silence. And with each breath, something continues to unwind within you, not layer by layer anymore, but all at once, in a more unified release, as if everything that was ever held is now simply letting go. And there is nothing you need to do about it, because there is no one left who needs to do anything. Only awareness, only calm, only this gentle unfolding that continues on its own. And as that unfolding deepens, your body feels almost weightless now, even though it is fully supported, fully grounded, fully resting. It is a different kind of weightlessness, not floating upward, but dissolving inward, as if the boundaries of the body are becoming softer, less defined, more fluid, and in that fluidity, everything feels easier, everything feels quieter, everything feels more natural than effort has ever felt. And now, even thoughts have become extremely faint, almost like distant impressions that never fully form. They appear, and before they can take shape, they dissolve, without interruption, without attention, without impact, and in their place there is only stillness, a stillness that is not empty, but full of calm presence, full of quiet ease, full of something deeply soothing that does not require understanding. And as you remain in that stillness, something even more subtle begins to unfold, a sense of merging, where the distinction between you and resting begins to dissolve, not in a sudden way, but in a soft, gradual blending, until there is no clear separation between the one who experiences and the experience itself. Only one continuous field of calm awareness, and within that field, nothing needs to be maintained, nothing needs to be controlled, nothing needs to be held together, because everything is already unified, already balanced, already at peace. And as that realization settles deeper, even the realization itself begins to fade, because there is no longer anything to grasp onto, no concept to hold, no thought to follow, only presence, pure, silent, effortless presence. And as that presence deepens, a profound sense of surrender begins to unfold. Not surrender to something, but surrender of everything, everything that was ever held, everything that was ever carried, everything that was ever maintained through effort, all of it, gently dissolving, without resistance, without struggle, without direction. And in that complete release, there is only openness, a vast, boundless openness that feels both infinite and intimate at the same time, as if you are everywhere and nowhere, all at once. And within that openness, something very peaceful begins to settle, a quiet understanding that nothing more is needed, nothing more is required, nothing more is missing. Everything is already here, in this moment, in this stillness, in this deep and continuous calm. And as you remain here, even the awareness of this calm begins to soften, because there is nothing left to observe, no need to notice anything, no need to track anything, no need to stay engaged, only rest, pure rest. And as that rest deepens further, something very gentle begins to happen again, a final soft release, not of anything specific, but of all remaining subtle holding, until even the idea of holding dissolves completely, and what remains is a state that cannot be described in terms of effort or experience, only stillness, only silence, only this quiet presence that continues without interruption. And now, even the sense of continuing begins to fade, because time itself feels distant, irrelevant, almost non-existent. There is no beginning, no middle, no end, only this continuous state of calm awareness that feels endless in every direction. And within that endlessness, something very soft begins to emerge, a feeling of complete safety. Not because anything is being protected, but because nothing needs protection anymore. Everything is already at ease. Everything is already still. Everything is already complete. And in that completeness, there is nothing left to move toward, no deeper state to reach, no further step to take, because this is already the deepest layer, the quietest point, the softest edge of awareness before sleep fully takes over. And as you rest here, gently suspended in this final layer of calm, you may begin to feel awareness itself becoming lighter, quieter, less active, until even awareness begins to fade, not disappearing, but blending completely into stillness. And in that stillness, sleep begins to arrive naturally, gently, without interruption, carrying you softly, fully, completely, into deep rest, where everything continues to quiet down, and you drift effortlessly into sleep. And now, as you drift even deeper into this final layer of stillness, something very soft begins to happen, almost like the entire experience is gently exhaling with you, settling, completing, becoming quieter than it has ever been. There is no longer any sense of effort at all, no sense of trying to go deeper, because there is no deeper left to go. Only this, only now, only this endless quiet presence that holds you without needing to hold anything. And as you remain here, you may notice that even awareness itself feels like it is fading gently into the background, not disappearing suddenly, but softening, dissolving at the edges, becoming less defined, less separate, like a light slowly dimming, not turning off, just becoming softer, warmer, quieter. And with each passing moment, your body continues its natural descent into rest, every muscle completely relaxed, every breath completely effortless, every thought almost non-existent now, just faint echoes that cannot fully form, and even those echoes fade before they arrive, because there is nothing left to hold them, nothing left to feed them. Only stillness remains, only calm, only this deep, continuous softness that seems to stretch in every direction without beginning or end. And as you rest in that softness, you may begin to feel something very peaceful rising within you, a feeling of being completely held, not by anything physical, but by the calm itself, as if the silence around you has become a gentle support, a soft presence, wrapping around you without pressure, without weight, only ease. And in that ease, everything becomes simpler, everything becomes slower, everything becomes quieter than before. Even the idea of you resting begins to fade, because there is no separation anymore between rest and awareness. Only one continuous experience of stillness, and within that stillness something very deep begins to settle. A final release, not of tension, not of thought, but of any remaining sense of holding, as if your entire being is finally letting go of the need to maintain anything at all. And in that complete letting go, there is a profound sense of relief, a relief that does not come from change, but from the absence of effort, from the absence of resistance, from the absence of anything that needed to be carried. And now, there is nothing left to carry, nothing left to manage, nothing left to hold, only this quiet openness, this infinite softness, this calm that continues without interruption. And as you stay here, you may begin to notice that even the feeling of drifting has become unnecessary, because there is nowhere to drift to. You are already here, fully, completely, in the deepest possible state of rest. And in this state, something very gentle begins to unfold again, a subtle merging, where even awareness begins to blend into stillness itself, until there is no longer a sense of observing rest, only rest, pure rest. And as that merging completes, everything becomes even quieter, even softer, even more peaceful, as if the entire experience has now dissolved into a single continuous state of calm being. And within that being, there is no movement, no direction, no effort, only silence, only stillness, only this deep, unbroken peace that holds everything without needing to hold anything at all. And now, even that sense of peace begins to soften further, because there is nothing left to recognize, nothing left to define, nothing left to observe, only this final layer of quiet, where awareness itself begins to fade gently into sleep. And as that happens, you are no longer guided anywhere, because there is nowhere left to go, only this natural, effortless descent into deep, uninterrupted rest, into sleep that arrives softly, completely, and without resistance. And now, as you drift even further into this deep and quiet state, something very subtle begins to happen again, almost as if the entire experience is gently becoming softer at its core, quieter at its edges, and more infinite in its feeling. There is no longer any sense of movement forward, no longer any sense of depth to reach, because everything has already settled, everything has already released, everything has already softened into this calm. And as you remain here, you may begin to notice that even your awareness feels like it is no longer actively observing anything, but instead simply existing as stillness itself, not watching, not analyzing, not following, just being. And in that being, something very peaceful begins to expand within you, not in a physical way, but in a sense of openness, like space itself is widening gently, without effort, without direction, simply unfolding. And as that space expands, everything within you feels lighter. Your thoughts no longer forming, your body no longer holding, your breath so soft now, so quiet. It almost feels like it belongs to the space rather than to you. Inhale, gentle exhale, disappearing into silence. And with every breath, you sink deeper into a state that feels increasingly effortless, as if effort itself has become unnecessary, as if even the idea of trying has completely dissolved, And in that dissolution, there is only ease, only stillness, only this continuous flow of calm that has no beginning and no end. And now, you may begin to feel something very subtle emerging within that calm, a sense of floating, not upward, not downward, but inward into quietness, as if your awareness is no longer anchored to anything solid, but gently suspended within softness itself, held by nothing, and yet supported by everything. And in that paradox, there is peace, a peace that does not depend on anything outside of you, a peace that simply exists because nothing is disturbing it anymore. And as you rest in that peace, something even deeper begins to unfold, a quiet merging, where the boundaries between thought, sensation, and awareness begin to dissolve completely until everything becomes one continuous field of stillness, no separation, no distinction, no effort, only calm, only presence, only this gentle unfolding that continues without interruption. And as that merging deepens, you may begin to feel as if even your sense of self becomes softer, less defined, like a distant echo of identity that no longer needs to be held tightly, not disappearing but relaxing, loosening, blending into the vast calm around it. And in that blending, there is freedom, freedom from effort, freedom from tension, freedom from needing to be anything other than this moment, and this moment is already enough, more than enough. It is complete. And as that completeness settles within you, your entire system begins to respond with even deeper relaxation, every muscle releasing a final layer of holding, every breath becoming slower, every thought dissolving before it can form, until even silence feels like the only remaining presence. And within that silence, something very profound happens. There is no longer a sense of time, no sense of sequence, no sense of progression, only a continuous, unbroken state of calm awareness that stretches infinitely in every direction. And within that infinity, there is nothing missing, nothing incomplete, nothing unresolved, only stillness, only softness, only this quiet presence that holds everything without effort. And as you remain here, something begins to soften even further, a final letting go, not of anything specific, but of all remaining subtle resistance, until there is nothing left to release at all, only openness, pure openness. And in that openness, everything becomes weightless, thoughts weightless, body weightless, awareness weightless, as if everything has been gently lifted into a state where nothing is heavy anymore, nothing is tight, nothing is holding on, only flow, only ease, only this deep, continuous calm that seems to carry itself without effort. And now, even the idea of going deeper begins to fade completely, because there is no deeper left, no further step, no direction. Only this, and this is already everything. And as you rest in that understanding, something very gentle begins to happen again, a soft fading of awareness itself, not sudden, not forced, but slow, natural, inevitable, like a light dimming into warmth. And as awareness fades, sleep begins to rise naturally in its place, not arriving, not entering, just gently taking over, carrying you effortlessly into deep rest, where everything becomes silent, still, and completely at peace. And now, as you continue resting in this deep and peaceful state, something very subtle begins to unfold again, almost like the final layer of experience is beginning to soften even further, not changing in any dramatic way, but dissolving gently, quietly into something even more effortless. There is no longer any sense of direction, no longer any sense of effort, because everything that needed to release has already released. Everything that needed to soften has already softened. Everything that needed to settle has already settled. And now what remains is only this, only calm, only stillness, only this continuous presence that feels like it has no edges, no boundaries, no limits. And as you remain here, you may begin to notice that even awareness itself feels lighter now, almost as if it is no longer watching anything, but simply existing as a quiet field of presence, not focused, not directed, just open, just still, just here. And within that openness, something very gentle begins to expand, a sense of space, widening softly within you, like the entire inner world is becoming more spacious, more free, more unconfined, and in that spaciousness, everything feels easier. Your breath, no longer noticeable as effort, just a soft rhythm in the background. Your body, no longer something you are holding, but something that is being gently supported by stillness itself. Your thoughts almost completely dissolve now, like distant echoes that never fully arrive, and even those echoes fade before they can form, because there is nothing left to carry them. Only silence remains, only calm, only this deep and continuous ease. And as you rest within that ease, you may begin to feel something very subtle emerging, a sense of drifting, not moving toward anything, not moving away from anything, but simply drifting within calm itself, like floating in an infinite quiet space where nothing pulls you, nothing pushes you, nothing disturbs you. And in that floating, there is peace, a peace that is not created, a peace that does not depend on anything, a peace that simply exists because nothing is interfering with it anymore. And as that peace deepens, something even more delicate begins to unfold, a soft merging where the boundaries between awareness, breath, sensation, and silence begin to dissolve completely, until everything becomes one continuous experience. No separation, no distinction, no effort, only stillness, only presence, only this gentle unfolding that continues without interruption. And as that merging continues, you may begin to feel your sense of self becoming lighter, softer, less defined, not disappearing, but relaxing into the space around it, as if identity itself is no longer something fixed, but something that can gently dissolve into calm. And in that dissolution, there is freedom, freedom from effort, freedom from control, freedom from needing to be anything other than this moment. And this moment is already enough, more than enough. It is complete. And as that completeness settles deeper within you, your entire system begins to respond. Even more relaxation, even more softness, even more letting go, until everything feels like it is moving toward a single unified state of calm, a state where nothing is separate anymore. Everything is connected through stillness. Everything is held by silence. Everything is resting in ease. And now even the idea of resting begins to fade, because there is no longer someone resting, only rest itself, pure, continuous, effortless rest. And as you remain in that rest, something very quiet begins to happen again. A final softening, not of tension, not of thought, but of awareness itself, as if awareness is no longer needing to maintain any shape, any focus, any identity. It simply becomes vast, open, endless, and within that vastness there is nothing to hold on to, nothing to maintain, nothing to define, only calm. only silence, only this infinite softness that continues without interruption. And as that softness deepens, even the sense of drifting begins to fade, because there is no direction left, no movement, no path, only stillness. And in that stillness, something very profound begins to settle, a complete surrender, not toward anything, but of everything, until there is nothing left to resist, nothing left to carry, nothing left to hold. Only openness remains. And within that openness, everything feels weightless. Thoughts, weightless. Body, weightless. Awareness, weightless. As if everything has been gently suspended in a space where gravity no longer applies. Only calm applies. Only peace applies. Only this quiet unfolding that continues on its own. And as you stay here, even that unfolding begins to slow, not because anything stops, but because there is nothing left that needs to move. Everything is already still. Everything is already complete. Everything is already at rest. And in that completeness, something very soft begins to happen. A fading, not of experience, but of effort itself, until even the idea of effortless becomes unnecessary, because there is no effort at all, only being, pure being. And as that being continues to deepen, sleep begins to rise naturally, gently, without interruption, not arriving, not entering, just becoming. And you are carried with it, softly, completely, into deep rest, where everything becomes silent, still, and endlessly peaceful. And now, as you continue resting in this deep and quiet state, something very subtle begins to shift again, not in a way that breaks the stillness, but in a way that deepens it even further, like the entire experience is gently folding inward, becoming softer, quieter, more infinite. There is no longer any sense of effort, no longer any sense of direction, because everything that needed to happen has already happened. Everything that needed to release has already released. Everything that needed to settle has already settled. And now what remains is only this, only calm, only stillness, only this vast, gentle presence that feels like it has no beginning and no end. And as you remain here, you may begin to notice that even awareness itself feels more distant now, not disappearing, but becoming softer at the edges, like a quiet glow fading into deeper quiet. There is no need to focus on anything, no need to hold anything in attention, no need to stay aware in any active way, because everything is already being held by stillness itself. And as that understanding settles deeper, your breath continues its soft rhythm, almost imperceptible now, like a gentle tide moving through silence rather than air. Inhale, barely noticeable. Exhale, dissolving completely. And with each breath, something continues to soften within you, not as a reaction, but as a natural unfolding, like everything within you is slowly remembering how to be at rest. And that remembering happens effortlessly, because there is nothing left to resist, nothing left to hold, nothing left to carry. And as that release continues, your body feels even heavier now, yet more comfortable than ever before, as if heaviness itself has transformed into deep support. Every part of you is now fully supported, fully held, fully at ease, your shoulders no longer holding anything, your arms completely relaxed, your chest open, calm, steady, your legs grounded, soft, fully at rest, and your entire body now feels like it belongs to stillness itself, as if stillness is no longer something you are entering, but something you are becoming, And in that becoming, something very quiet begins to unfold, a sense of drifting, not toward anything, not away from anything, but within calm itself, like floating in an endless quiet space where nothing pulls you, nothing pushes you, nothing demands anything from you, only ease, only softness, only this continuous gentle unfolding that feels like it has always been happening. And as that drifting deepens, your mind becomes even quieter. Thoughts now so faint that they no longer form fully, only impressions, only shadows, dissolving before they reach awareness, and even those shadows fade because there is nothing left to hold them. Only silence remains, only stillness, only this deep, uninterrupted calm that seems to stretch endlessly in every direction. And within that calm, something very subtle begins to expand, a sense of merging where awareness, breath, sensation, and space all begin to dissolve into one continuous field, no separation, no boundaries, no distinction, only unity, only presence, only stillness. And as that merging continues, even the sense of you resting begins to soften, as if the idea of separation between observer and experience is no longer necessary. There is no observer, there is no experience, only one continuous state of calm being. And within that being, everything feels complete. Nothing is missing, nothing is unfinished, nothing is unresolved, only quiet wholeness. And as that wholeness settles deeper, something even more delicate begins to unfold. A final softening, not of tension, not of thought, but of structure itself, as if everything that once felt defined is now gently dissolving into openness. And in that openness, there is no shape, no form, no effort, only vast calm, only silent space, only this endless stillness that holds everything without needing to hold anything at all. And as you remain here, even the idea of remaining begins to fade, because there is no longer a point of reference, no center, no edge, only presence, pure, quiet, effortless presence. And in that presence, something very profound begins to happen. A complete surrender, not toward anything, but of everything, until nothing is left to resist, nothing left to maintain, nothing left to define. Only openness remains. And within that openness, everything becomes weightless. Thoughts, weightless. Body, weightless. Awareness, weightless. As if everything has been gently lifted into a space where nothing is heavy anymore. Only calm applies, only peace applies, only this continuous softness that continues without interruption. And as that softness deepens, even the sense of drifting begins to fade, because there is nowhere left to drift. Everything is already still. Everything is already complete. Everything is already at rest. And in that completeness, something very quiet begins to emerge, a final fading, not of awareness, but of effort itself, until even the concept of effort dissolves completely, and what remains is simply being, pure being. And as that being continues to deepen, sleep begins to rise naturally, gently, without interruption, not arriving, not entering, just becoming, and you are carried with it, softly, completely, into deep rest, where everything becomes silent, still, and endlessly peaceful. And now, As you rest even more deeply in this quiet and endless stillness, something very subtle begins to happen again, almost like the entire experience is gently slowing down even further, softening at its edges, dissolving into something even more effortless. There is no longer any sense of trying, no longer any sense of becoming, because everything that needed to unfold has already unfolded. Everything that needed to release has already released. Everything that needed to settle has already settled. And now what remains is only this, only calm, only stillness, only this vast and quiet presence that feels like it has no beginning and no end. And as you remain here, you may begin to notice that even awareness itself feels more distant now, not disappearing, but softening, like a gentle light fading into deeper and deeper silence. There is no need to focus on anything, no need to maintain anything, no need to stay aware in any active way, because everything is already being held by stillness itself. And in that stillness, your breath continues its gentle rhythm, so soft now, so quiet. It almost feels like it belongs to the space rather than to the body. Inhale, like a whisper dissolving. Exhale, like silence itself. And with each breath, something continues to unwind within you, not as effort, but as natural release, like everything inside is remembering how to let go completely. And that remembering happens on its own, because there is nothing left to resist, nothing left to hold, nothing left to carry. And as that release deepens, your body feels even heavier now, and yet more comfortable than ever before, as if heaviness itself has become comfort, has become safety, has become rest. Every part of you is now fully supported, fully held, fully at ease, your shoulders no longer carrying anything, your arms completely relaxed, your chest open, soft, steady, your legs grounded, still, deeply at rest, and your entire body now feels like it belongs completely to stillness. As if stillness is no longer something you are entering, but something you are becoming, and in that becoming, something very quiet begins to unfold. A sense of drifting, not toward anything, not away from anything, but within calm itself, like floating in an endless quiet space where nothing pulls you, nothing pushes you, only softness, only this continuous unfolding that feels like it has always been happening. And as that drifting deepens, your mind becomes even quieter, thoughts now so faint that they no longer form fully, only impressions, only echoes that dissolve before they can take shape. And even those echoes fade, because there is nothing left to hold them. Only silence remains, only stillness, only this deep, uninterrupted calm that seems to stretch endlessly in every direction. And within that calm, something very subtle begins to expand, a sense of merging, where awareness, breath, sensation, and space all begin to dissolve into one continuous field. No separation, no boundaries, no distinction, only unity, only presence, only stillness. And as that merging continues, even the sense of you resting begins to soften, as if the idea of separation between observer and experience is no longer necessary. There is no observer, there is no experience, only one continuous state of calm being, and within that being, everything feels complete. Nothing is missing, nothing is unfinished, nothing is unresolved, only quiet wholeness. And as that wholeness settles deeper, something even more delicate begins to unfold. A final softening, not of tension, not of thought, but of structure itself, as if everything that once felt defined is now gently dissolving into openness. And in that openness there is no shape, no form, no effort, only vast calm, only silent space, only this endless stillness that holds everything without needing to hold anything at all. And as you remain here, even the idea of remaining begins to fade, because there is no longer a point of reference, no center, no edge, only presence, pure, quiet, effortless presence. And in that presence, something very profound begins to happen, a complete surrender, not toward anything, but of everything, until nothing is left to resist, nothing left to maintain, nothing left to define, only openness remains. And within that openness, everything becomes weightless. Thoughts, weightless. Body, weightless. Awareness, weightless, as if everything has been gently lifted into a space where nothing is heavy anymore. Only calm applies, only peace applies, only this continuous softness that continues without interruption. And as that softness deepens, even the sense of drifting begins to fade, because there is nowhere left to drift. Everything is already still, everything is already complete, everything is already at rest, and in that completeness, something very quiet begins to emerge, a final fading, not of awareness, but of effort itself, until even the concept of effort dissolves completely, and what remains is simply being, pure being. And as that being continues to deepen, sleep begins to rise naturally, gently, without interruption, not arriving, not entering, just becoming, and you are carried with it, softly, completely, into deep rest, where everything becomes silent, still, and endlessly peaceful. And now, as you continue resting in this deepest layer of calm, something very gentle begins to happen, something so soft, so natural, that it feels like nothing is happening at all, and yet everything is quietly completing itself. There is no longer any sense of direction, no longer any sense of effort, no longer any sense of going deeper, because everything has already arrived exactly where it needed to be. Everything has already softened, everything is already released, everything has already dissolved into this quiet state, and now what remains is only this, only stillness, only calm, only this vast, endless presence that feels like it has always been here and will always remain. And as you rest here, you may begin to notice that even awareness itself feels like it is gently fading, not disappearing suddenly, but becoming softer, quieter, more distant, like a light slowly dimming into warmth. There is nothing you need to hold, nothing you need to follow, nothing you need to understand, because everything is already being held for you by stillness itself. And in that stillness, your breath continues, so soft now, so effortless, that it feels like it is breathing itself. Inhale, like a whisper in silence. Exhale, like silence returning to itself. And with each breath, you go deeper into a state where nothing is required anymore. Not effort, not attention, not awareness, only rest, pure rest. And as that rest deepens, your body feels completely supported now, as if every part of you is resting exactly where it belongs. No tension remains, no holding remains, only softness, only heaviness that feels like comfort, like safety, like home. And in that feeling, something very quiet begins to expand, a sense of floating, not away, not upward, but inward, into pure stillness, as if you are gently dissolving into the space around you, becoming part of it, merging with it, without resistance. And in that merging, everything becomes one, no separation between body and space, no separation between thought and silence, no separation between you and rest itself, only one continuous experience of deep calm, and within that calm, even the idea of you resting begins to fade, because there is no longer anyone doing the resting. Only rest itself remains, pure, infinite, unbroken, and as that unbroken stillness continues, something very profound happens, a final letting go, not of anything specific, but of everything remaining, until even the concept of letting go disappears, because there is nothing left to release, nothing left to carry, nothing left to hold, only openness, only silence, only this endless softness that continues without effort. And as you remain here, even time begins to dissolve completely. There is no past, no future, no next moment, only this moment, expanding, stretching, softening into something timeless. And within that timelessness, everything is already complete, everything is already whole, everything is already at peace, and now there is nothing left to do, nothing left to become, nothing left to reach, only this final state of stillness where awareness itself becomes so soft, so quiet, that it gently blends into sleep. And as that happens, you are no longer guided anywhere, because there is nowhere left to go, only this natural descent, slow, gentle, effortless, into deep sleep, where everything becomes silent, everything becomes still, and you drift fully, completely, peacefully into rest.